Let's talk DataOps. DevOps revolutionized software engineering by adopting a lot of agile, lean practices, post-recuperation. And we know the same needs to happen in data engineering. And today, that's what I'd like to talk about. What we can learn from DevOps and how we can adapt and adopt it for data and make it DataOps. Now, data is in our everyday lives, in everything around us: music, movies, healthcare, shopping, travel, school, university. Everything relies on it, and there is no exaggeration in saying that every company needs to be a data company, and those that are not, they are not very successful, not for long. And it's not a secret that efficiency of using data is still pretty bad. Nowhere we are nearly as efficient as in creating data products as we are creating software products. There are way too many examples of failed data projects. There Gartner multiple or other similar statistic comes out where as easily as 70, 60, 80% of data and AI projects fail to reach production. That's pretty bad. DataOps promises to fix that. DataOps promises to ensure the most efficient creation of business value from data. That's about data most probably the only thing that people who study DataOps can agree with. It's goal. But there are so many different variety of ways of how to achieve that, what to do, what does it mean, and there's still no some converging opinion about what the solution should be. There are some common themes though, and one of them is that we can learn from its successful cause in DevOps and try to adapt those for data, because this is not the same. And we will show how we do that today. If we're going to talk about DataOps, we should mention DevOps. It does have very similar goal. It's simple as the goal is to ensure most efficient software development from an idea to a reality, to a software product. Again, how it's done is varied, though there are now much better established best practices. Still, depending on who you ask, we have completely different idea about what data DevOps is really. There are a lot of best practices in DevOps community though, and we can learn and apply it and adopt, and most importantly adapt them for the data community. Before that, let's look at the problem from the different perspectives, different stakeholders involved, and we'll group them in two categories for simplifications purposes. On one hand, we will introduce the first hero of our story, the infrastructure operations team. What I'm talking people who, when we talk about infrastructure side, these are the people who understand how to provision maybe containers, virtual machines, how to set up firewalls, a network, or provision Spark and Kafka cluster. They understand performance implication of that infrastructure. Maybe it's better to use big files with Kafka and small files with HDFS, for example. And the operations people are those that understand the best operations and DevOps practices, how to build continuous integrations, continuous development, how to ensure code is version traceable. And their goal is ultimately to make sure everything works. As written, they need to optimize reliability and availability. The other hero of our story would be the data practitioners, the people who really create the products. That could be for data. This could be data engineers, data scientists, data analysts, analytics engineers, MO engineers. There are a lot of titles. They do have the domain and business knowledge and responsible for serving analytics requests from different stakeholders, marketing executives, so that either company can make correct, quick decisions or can create compelling products. They do tend to have more domain knowledge, understand how to build data product, how to join data set, different tables together, how to report numbers and create predictive models to make recommendation system. And their focus is on optimizing speed and agility. Nowadays, businesses need to move so very high speed, and if the data does not catch up, then business will be forced not to use data and probably fail. In some ways, their goals fairly conflicting, as tend to be between products and operations teams, because their priorities are conflicting. And this is very similar to what we observed in the development operations world before DevOps, like 20, 30 years ago. Here, the data person wants to optimize good delivery value of data, while operations would like to optimize availability of the data. And how we solve that? There is no clear separation, often clarity between the team's responsibility, where operations team had to debug data engineering work, and data engineers would need to provision infrastructure. Well, let's see how we can adopt and adapt them. And one of the particular lessons that we need to learn from DevOps is we need to start treating data as a product and not just as a side effect. From the source to the end, be it report or another product. And Versatile Data Kit is a framework aimed to help both the data teams and information teams sort of make sure that everything knows what needs to be done and everything is responsible for their own. It enables easy contribution to create new data projects and separate ownership. It does this by introducing two high-level concepts. One is automating and abstracting the data journey, and the other is abstracting the DevOps or DataOps cycle. When talking about automating and abstracting the data journey, which is primarily responsible for starting the Data Kit SDK, which is a library for automation of data extraction, transformations, and loading of data, and a very versatile plugin framework which allows users to extend it according to their specific requirements, so that infrastructure people who know best, for example, that you cannot try to send big messages into Kafka, they can create very, very easily plugins that would automatically check the data before it even is being sent. And the control service, which automatically abstracts the DevOps cycle, would allow users to create, deploy, manage in automated way those data jobs in a runtime environment, and allow automatic versioning deployment, and at the same time allow DevOps people in the company who best know how to build CI/CD to extend using their own knowledge and using their own best practices they want to apply for their own organization. Well, let's look at an example. We're talking about automating and abstracting the DevOps journey and the data journey. Here, we can see how one infrastructure team can, for example, intercept through plugins every single SQL query being sent to a database before it even finishes the job, or before even including when the job is being run locally during debug and development, and apply some kind of optimization and layering. In this concrete example, in the picture, we are saying there's a plugin who collects lineage information to enable easier troubleshooting and inspecting of jobs so that one can see where the data comes from. But this is just an example. Really, the sky is the limit. The operations team can do any kind of plugins and they can be applied across all jobs. Data teams can also create their own plugins. And then let's look at the DevOps cycle. Can we do something to automate how development process, at least the DevOps cycle part? What Versatile Data Kit, what the control service particularly does is it flattens it. Let's flatten it. And it's important to provide self-service environment for data engineers to create end-to-end data pipelines. This self-service environment automates large part of the DevOps cycle, so that as far as data engineers or data team is concerned, they maybe click just one click button, deploy, or CLI command deploy, and building, testing, releasing, deploying can happen automatically. At the same time, we need to enable some either centralized data team, or we'll go with our persona, some operations or infra team, to ensure that there's a consistency, correctness of those data jobs, and all the compliance, quality, company policies that are in place. And since the people that have best knowledge how to implement these kind of policies, especially DevOps best practices correctly, the DevOps operations people, there's a way for them to ensure this across all jobs. Quick example, again, the DevOps plugins are actually more build the Docker images that can be extended. And one, for example, can extend the build and test space by implementing, extending the default job builder image. And let's say they add some standardized system test to ensure quality. Or we want to make sure that no job can execute arbitrary files, so we remove all execution privileges. And that's very easy. It's pretty simple Docker image, which can be configured when installing the Versatile Data Kit control service. That's our intro into Versatile Data Kit. If you want to learn more and talk about these problems and try to solve them together with us, contact us at any of the channels. The easiest one is through GitHub VMware Versatile Data Kit contacts. Thank you.